Good morning, students. So let's start for today's lecture. Today's we read about we will study about some concepts of hopes. First, we discuss a simple C++ program, and this simple C++ program tells you the basic difference between C and C++. So you can see the very first statements is different than a C program, like include iostream.h. So here we use iostream.h rather than stdio.h. stdio.h standards input output header file, where iostream.h is also header file, but it is input output stream. C++ actually take input and output as a stream of characters. Next is conio configuration input output.h, and then we use void for the main. In C++ it is mandatory to define the data type for a function. So as main is not returning any value, so we use void. Void means no data type. Next is cout statement, enter a and b. So here we don't use printf or scanf statements, instead we use cout and cin statement. So cout is equivalent to printf and cin is equivalent to scanf statements. And students, you can see cin statement is so easy to write as compared to scanf statements. Here we need not to define any data types. We use simple cin statements for any type of data, and we also use its symbol, which is known as insertion symbols, which we will discuss at a later stage. But here you can see cout and cin are very easy as compared to printf and scanf. So they are user friendly. Every C program runs in C++ environment also, because C++ compiler supports every statements of C. But when we switch to C++, it is compulsory to use iostream.h and cin and cout, so that we can get total benefit of a C++ environment. Next, structure. So C++ also supports structures, and structures are different than array. In a structure we can have a collection of different data types under a single name. Here the different member of a structure can be of different data types. For example, we take a student structure. Here we have roll number of type of integer and name is type of character. So we can say structure is a collection of variable of different data type under a single name. And structures are user defined data type, because user defined what different type of variable a structure can hold. So here we use non-similar data types. Now we use struct keywords to define a structure. Structs explain that we are going to define a structure element, and then we define different members of the structures. We can define different instance of a structure, like we use student s1 and s2. Now s1 and s2 are two instances of structure student. We can also define definition of a structure and instance together in a single definition. In the closing brackets we can write struct student int roll number character name 20, and then closing bracket, and then we can write s1 s2. But it is up to you whether to combine the definition and declaration of instance, or to declare variable of a structure type separately. So in C++, we use keyword struct, but when we declare the variable of type of structure, we need not to use struct again. We simply use student s1, s2. It is just like to declare normal data type variable. Now next is union. Union is a user defined data type like structures. Structures and union both are same type of data. But what is the difference then? Actually, in a union, we store or we give the memory only a single item at a time. There can be any number of variables in a union. It can have any number of members, but only a single member gets a memory at a time. It can also store variable of different type, but all members of union share same memory location. Number of bytes required to store elements of union is decided by the size of largest member of a union. Here you can store a single item at a time. Now if you want only to store a single element at a time, then we use union. Keyword union is used to define a union in C++ language, just like a C language. So here we see an example of a union info. It has two different variables I and f, where I is type of integer and f is type of double. So this union needs only 8 bytes to store it instead of 12 bytes, which is the size of a double variable. Why we need only 8 bytes? Because a double needs only 8 bytes to store it. So a union needs the size of the largest element. We can also declare instance of a union just like a structures. In a structure, we can also include functions. If we need certain functions or certain operation to be performed on the data inside a structure, we can also define functions within the structure also. It is different than C++. Here we can bundle together data and function in structures. In that way they are similar to the class concepts, but as a common practice we use structures to hold different data types and class whenever we want to combine data and operation together in a program. So next thing is class. So a class is also a user defined data type which is used to define the prototype of some objects. So what is a class? Class is actually a user defined data type just like structure and union. Here user defined different type of variables and the function that can be performed on those variables. But in C++ we don't use the term variables and function. We use different terms. We use data member and member function. So class has data members and member functions. We also use a term methods for the functions in OOPS concepts. So actually a class has variable which are known as data members and function which are known as member functions, and together these data members and member function defines the properties and behavior of the object of that class. So actually we define a class with a combination of data members and member functions, where data members define the properties and member function defines the behavior of the objects, or you can say the function the operation performed by the class. So functions are used to manipulate the variables. In a class, functions can be used to manipulate only the variable that are present in that particular class. Or we can also say the data members of a class can be manipulated only by the function of that particular class. So in that way, we bind together data and functions together in a case, and the case is known as class. So data members, the variable declared in a class, are known as data members, and they can be public or private. But by default, all the members of a class are private. For public members, we should use keyword public. Next is member function. The function declared inside a class is known as member functions. They can be public or private, just like data members. They are used to manipulate data members inside the class, and they are also known as methods. So I have already told you, functions are generally known as methods. So both data and members can be declared as public or private according to our requirement, but generally we define data as private and functions as public member of a class. It is necessary for the data hiding. All the data should be hid from any function outside the class or function which is not a member of a class. So we can hide our data outside the class by using private keywords. As the default setting for a class is private, so we need not to write private keywords. But when we want to define public members, we should write public keyword. So now here we are seeing a class. A class has data member and member functions. So a class can have any number of data members and any number of member functions in it. Now let's take a simple example of a class. Just now we are going to study how to define a class. We have just seen structure of a student. There we have two things, roll number and name. Now we are discussing a class of students, and here we bundle together variables and functions. Now this is the example of a class, and here we have two variables, roll number and name, and they are known as data members. It also has a function, display. This is used to display the variables of a class. Any number of functions can be used in the class. We can also make function to take the input. Here we set input inside a class, so it is just a demo type of class. So it is a common practice to declare variable as private and function as public. There is no need to write a private keywords, but commonly we use private also, so that we can specifically define which portion is private and which is public. Otherwise, if we omit private, automatically it takes roll number and string as private. So data members are declared as private to hide outside the class, and I have already told you it is a mechanism of class to implement data hiding. This is actually data hiding. This is the process how a class can implement data hiding. Only a member function of that class can use data member of a class. So we have a function which is public. Functions are used in public portion so that we can call them outside the class, and generally we need to call them outside the class. So almost all the functions are defined in the public portion, like void, as this function is not returning any value, so we use void data type. Then cout, again we use cout rather than printf statement. So cout roll number, cout name, and you can see that for string and for integer data type we use same cout statements and in same manner. I mean, we need not to specify the data type of the variable which is used to print by using cout statements. Now next, data members are declared with any of the fundamental types. I mean, data members can be of any type, like integer, float, characters. They can also be any derived data types like pointers, use any other user defined, means they can be like structure, array, union, etc. Even a class can have members that are type of class. I mean, a class can have a variable of type of another class. Like in students, if we want to add date of birth of the students, we can make a class of type date that can be member of class student. So a class can have members that are of a class type or of pointers or reference to a class type. So a class can have another class as its data member. So member functions are functions just like ordinary functions, but are declared as member of a class. They are written just like an ordinary functions. They are just declared inside a class. We can also declare a function inside the class and its definition outside the class. I mean, we can use definition and declaration separately, and generally we declare function inside a class and we define it outside the class. So definition of a member function can be inside or outside the definition of a class, but we have to declare all member function inside the class also, so that class can know its members function. So if the member function is defined inside the class definition, it can be defined directly, but if it is defined outside the class, then we have to use scope resolution operator along with the class name, along with the function. So whenever we want to define a function outside the class, we need to use scope resolution operator, because there can be different functions with the same name in different classes. I mean, every class can have a disp function to display its variable, or get data function to input its variables. So how can we differentiate different functions of different classes? So that can be done with the help of scope resolution operator. Whenever we want to access any function or when we want to define a function, we use class name along with the function name, so that we can clearly define that we are calling the function attached with that class. And whenever we want to define a function outside a class, we use double column, these two columns operator, which is known as scope resolution operator. So first we write class name like student, then scope resolution operator, then disp. So we can clearly get that this function is attached with the class student. So in this way we can differentiate different functions with the same name according to their class name. Of course, a class cannot have two functions with the same name. In that case, we will use function overloading, and those functions should be different according to their variable or their variable type and something. Now the scope resolution operator. It's very important topic. Scope resolution operator is used for many purposes in C++. And you can easily understand the meaning of scope resolution operator according to the place where they are used. I mean, they work differently in different use. So, first very basic use of scope resolution operator is when we have two variables with the same name in a program. In C and C++, there is a difference in the declaration of variable. I mean, in C or in any other structured programming language, we have to declare all the variables before first executable statement. So we are habitual of declaring all the variable in the beginning of the program. But in C++, we can declare a variable at any place in a program. I mean, even after executable statements, we can declare a variable. Even we can declare a variable in a particular block, and that variable has its life in that block only. So in C++, there is no restriction on declaration of a variable. So of course we can have different type of variables with the same name. Even we can also have a global variable and the local variable with the same name. So whenever we want to access a variable, we always access local variable, because compiler check local variable first. Okay, the problem solved. That whenever we have two variable with the same name, and when we call the variable, the compiler checks for the nearest variable. So it uses local variable. But what if we want to use global variable in our program? I mean, there may be some situation when we want to use local and global variable together, or we want to access global variable, because compiler will see or will check for the local variable. So whenever we want to access a global variable with the same name as of a local variable, we use scope resolution operator. And scope resolution operator helps us in accessing global variable. So suppose we have two variable v, one local and another global. Then we access local variable. See, only we access local variable. Wherever with scope resolution operator, we access global variable. So whenever we apply scope resolution operator before variable name, compiler will detect or will goes for the global variable. It surpass local variable and access global variable value. So C++ allows us flexibility to access both the variable through a scope resolution operator. Now you can check this from the program. Here we have a simple program. In this program we have two variable. One is global and second is local variable. The variable which is defined before main is global variable, while the variable inside main block is local variable. So we can have two cout statement. One cout with simple v and the second cout with scope resolution operator. So first cout statement gives us 20 as value of local variable is 20, and the next cout statement gives us value 10 because value of global variable is 10. So it's very easy to access global variable in C++ with the help of scope resolution operator. This is one use of scope resolution operator. And the second use, which is very important in C++ environment and which is used to support OOPS, object oriented programming approach, because this is a common use of scope resolution operator. But the second use is to use a class. Now this is the second use. Scope resolution operator can also be used to define a member function of a class outside the class. I mean, here we can define member function of a class outside the class. I have already told you it's our general practice to define a function inside a class. I mean, outside of a class we define a function outside a class, but we have to declare it inside a class. So here we declare function this inside the class and then we define it outside the class. Declaration is necessary because only then class can know that it has this function also. So a class should have knowledge about its member function. That's why we always declare function inside a class, and these functions are declared in the public portion so that we can access them outside the class also, because private member cannot be accessed outside the class. So this function display is declared in the class, but we define it outside the class. And for defining it outside the class, we again use scope resolution operator. So here we use name of the class and then we define function display. So it clearly defined that we are going to explain a function display which belongs to class A, because there may be some other function display that can be member of some another class B. So we write void B scope resolution operator display. It defined that we are going to define a function this of class B, and it defined that we are going to define a function of class A. So scope resolution operator helps us in understanding the associativity between a class and a function. So it clearly defined that this which is member of A is using here. So we can declare a class, a function inside a class, and then definition of a function outside the class with the help of scope resolution operator. And you can clearly see that we can easily figure out the meaning of the scope resolution operator in a situation, because both are different situations. In the previous situation we use scope resolution operator to access a global variable, And in this situation, we use scope resolution operator with a class name. So it is used to combine a class with a function. So these are two very basic and very useful use of scope resolution operator. Hope you have understand the concepts about member function, about methods, then local and global variable, and after that how to declare a simple class, and then how to define different member functions of a class outside the class by using scope resolution operator. But if you have any problem, you can contact me on my WhatsApp number. Thank you, students.